Yeah, let's get crack-a-lacking, man. Jedefray to the team, Jedefray to the Forum All-Stars, Jedefray to the Soul Gang. Where you guys at? Yeah, there's more things to speak about, being that every day there's a whole bunch of new stuff that comes up to make us buy into this shit. So we're gonna go through a bit more of that shit there when you guys join, yeah? Yeah, I feel like they're bringing a they're bringing in plot twists to hook our interest, hook our intention. A lot of us weren't paying attention until black people came into the picture. And all of that's deliberate. All the racial undertones and all the racial stuff that's going on with it now, that shit's deliberate. That's to make us pay attention to what's going on, because I know we're not likely to pay much attention to this shit. You get me? Upanetu Menucha Kawuna Lulbihu. He, she, the deities who nothing exists except by way of he, she, the mother, father, creator, spirit. Bakalumpa Ashutachil Asaru. Nukta o Fugmin Antutenia Enosat. Anuki Temli Pata. Anuki Li Paliul. Nukalag tu pa liulat. Nukabal tu pa liulat. Amabikun. Anuki Pamahuishil Netru. Parishil Netru. Pamustarasil Shil Netru. Anuki fi Panawashil Re. Panawashil Re Kalunda Huni. Anuki Hayuzina Zuf. Amun. Yeah, man. Africans is now in the equation, which makes the shit different for many of us. They've tugged at our emotional center. Remember how we spoke about the real and movies and how they're designed to move me and you from our center? These stuff that they're putting on telly, the news, mainstream media, it's running like a movie. It's a movie. It's designed to move you out your center, to hit you right in your emotional core between your spiritual and physical, to make us start talking about this war shit. Yo, where you guys at, man? I'm just gonna go ahead, go into this, and I know y'all gonna tune in your own timing, yeah? You're gonna have to rewind and go back to the start. Well, if you started from here, you've not really missed much, but here we go. Let's leave this message out there for the people, yeah? I want to speak about how the establishment is crumbling very, very fast. And because it's crumbling very, very fast, it's using desperate tactics that we've not really seen before to the extent that we're seeing it today. The methods that they're using and the technology is so far reaching that most people that have no idea about what's going on, it's hard to give them details. You can't even start them off on the little moving parts. You just have to give them, like, you have to start them where they're at. People can only meet you as far as they met themselves. But because the establishment is crumbling, the whole structure. Remember, we've been tracking these guys for the last 2 years with these lives, talking about how their power's gone. It's literally going. And that because of the nature that they have, which is the nature of the jinn, the demonic nature, the lower nature, when they don't get their way, they easily have tantrums and throw the dummy out, which means they begin to fall out with each other and throw each other under the bus, and they start to defy each other. Do you understand? Now, a lot of us hooked onto this war narrative. Now that we're seeing Trump's not really the savior that he was made out to be, how he's going to drain the swamp and go against the cabal. The people that were looking at Trump to be their superhero is now replacing Trump with Putin. Putin's now the guy who's fighting against the cabal. And that might be true. I'm not saying Putin is not fighting against the cabal. But just because he's fighting against the cabal doesn't make him on our side. Like I said, their establishment is crumbling. Their whole narrative is crumbling. They've been using this shit, good cop, bad cop, the war narrative for a really long time. Yeah. And now it's all falling apart. They're falling out with each other. And a lot of the time what you'll find with these characters, because they're actors, these Illuminati characters, when they throw the dummy out and they have a grudge, yeah, they will start disobeying the higher up. So the people that we don't see behind the scene, the puppet masters that's controlling all of them, if they start having grudges now because their shit's all falling apart at the seams and they start falling out with each other, yeah, and some of them start saying, yo, I ain't gonna listen to the plan no more, I'm just doing my own thing, I'm gonna like throw a spanner in the works. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is more likely to be going on. It doesn't mean Putin's the new Trump, like he's gonna save the world from the cabal because he's just against the cabal. Nigga, he's one of them. Do you understand what I'm saying? But they have their own squabbles and their own fights, yeah, and they have their own grudges, especially now that their establishment, their control structure is falling apart. You understand? And then if you tie that in, because remember, every time we speak about Armageddon and World War III and the end of the world, we speak from a certain perspective. So we could be speaking from a biblical perspective at one point, or we could be speaking from a climate change scientific narrative at one point. You understand? Or we could be going by what the ancients said, not just based specifically what the Bible said. So here, I want to refer us to, I put it in my forum group, the Black Group Science PDF, which is a very significant, I don't even call them things books. It's a very significant teaching and revelation for our Mennonite people. And it was, oh my God, sorry guys. And it was written by brothers in the motherland. So it's like we became exposed to a lot of the knowledge from people that was out here. Do you see what I'm saying? We got exposed to the knowledge from people that was out here in the West, like people like ourselves, like your Malcolm X's, your Marcus Garvey, Dr. Martin Luther King, black people that was born in the West. Black Root Science was written by, people like, not necessarily Credo Mutwa, but that kind of person, like South African Sunuzis and shamans and stuff. So they're giving their take on all the knowledge that we have here, like that comes through the Dr. Yorks and the Elijah Muhammads and stuff. And in the Black Root Science, according to Black Root Science and the African mystics, they say, listen, these Mzungu are going to wipe each other out. This ain't our war. This is their war. This is the Paleman'S War. And this is the same message that Elijah Muhammad, Dr. York, Noble Jewelry, all of them were speaking on this side of the globe, talking about, yo, when the Paleman goes to war, even the Arabs, when you see this Muslim thing talking about jihad, and these Mzungu Arabs are having a war with each other, that's their war, that's not our war. And they're aware that we can see all this shit falling apart and how their power's crumbling, and we're no longer watching the news and shit. So what's the best way? All them black people that are leading the world away from government and establishment and shit, with all their Illuminati stuff and all their stuff about false history, let's call it critical race theory and stuff like that. You know what? Let's make a scene out of them black people in the Ukraine. Yeah? Let's start treating them like shit, because we're racist anyway. And if we treat them like shit and go on, have them in such a way, yeah, the world would be in a kind of like, everyone will start paying attention. Even people who are not saying nothing. There's a lot of people watching who are programmed to accept that this is how black people are treated. You understand what I'm saying? So this is deliberate. This is a Hegelian tactic, because they know we're not paying attention to this Paleman'S War. So they have to draw us into this war now. So now you got people like Putin saying Africa is a graveyard for African people. And he's right. Why is he right? Yeah, people in the Telegram will know this. Yeah, because we've been discussing this morning, or this rising, I should say. Yeah, Africa is a graveyard for Africans because this is what Putin says. Putin says Africans worship white people as gods, and he says we're not gods. So he acknowledges they're far from gods. But these Negropeans who have been colonized, their minds and their tongue, worship the image of the white man. This is a white supremacist, white racism, post-colonial world, and a lot of us, it's not necessarily the lands that have been colonized. The damage is up here. A lot of us have been colonized in the mind, whether we're colonizing the Christian thing, whether we're colonizing the Muslim thing, or any other non-African thing. In some way, language, we're locked in English, the habits that we have, act like Anglo-Saxons, think like Anglo-Saxons. This shit is for real. The colonization is for real, and it's in the mind. So they know now, okay, the way they've set up this white world, Africa, how they've raped Africa and drained it of all its luster to the point where the standard of life there is so shit, and the leadership there is so shit. We're going to get to the leadership. Yeah, most people, your first dream is to, I'm going to leave Africa. When I'm big, I'm getting off. Yeah, I'm not staying in Africa, whether it's in Nigeria or Ghana, or I'll leave out South Africa. You understand? But let's just say certain parts of Africa, your first aspirations is like, yo, I want to reach England, you know, get myself a white woman, have a nice life, yeah? Or I want to reach America, you know, but I need to get America, or Germany, or France, anywhere that's not Africa. They're not leaving Ghana to go to Nigeria, or leaving Nigeria to go to Mali, or leaving Mali to go to Sudan. Do you understand? Africans, they want to leave Africa from the jump because the standard of life there and the leadership and dictatorship is so intense and so shit. The way the white racism post-colonial world has made it, that everyone wants to leave Africa. You want to go Ukraine, knowing that these Ukraine white people don't like you, these Mzungu. They're racist. You don't even need to go there to know that. We'll know, yo, you go there, these men are telling you in your face, yo, I'm a racist, bro. I don't like black people, you're monkeys and whatnot. Do you understand? But we will go there as Africans and Caribbeans thinking, yo, we got aspirations, we want to get a degree from a white man institution. So we want his trick knowledge so we can succeed in his world. Do you understand what I'm saying? And most of us that do well in these institutions, in order to upgrade yourself in his world, you have to downgrade yourself in your world. So you have to make a disconnection with everything African, not just leaving your yard, but also your culture, your language, your traditions, your history, your spirit. None of that shit means nothing. From the moment you've left Africa, you're probably not even a Nigerian no more. You probably now a Ukrainian. All them black people in the Ukraine, they was happy there before this war kicked off. Before this war kicked off, some of them would have applied for Ukrainian citizenship and been happy to call themselves a Ukrainian. A lot of these Africans are like this, these Negropean mentality. And we can't blame our brothers and sisters on the motherland and look down on them and start talk. Like, I'm not trying to bash them saying this. I'm saying what's real. I'm saying, yo, anybody that's looking for a better standard of life, I can't judge them. I'm not going through what they're going through in their motherland and that. But in my own limited, because I can only give my opinion and I'm entitled to it. So from where I'm sitting, I wouldn't have gone there because I'm not a Negropean. I don't want nothing from any institution, whether it's Oxford or Eton or whatever. That don't mean nothing to me. That's just the same as this paper here. That don't mean nothing to me. And guys, I'm sorry, I was supposed to, because I was waiting for my recommended read is the autobiography of Malcolm X by Alex Haley. Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have gone there. I don't want to go Germany. I don't want to go France. I don't want to go Ukraine to try. Yeah, and I'm speaking from somebody. I don't have the struggles that these guys have in the motherland, and the kind of life and reality that's been manufactured for them over there, the opportunities and whatnot. So I can't blame them, but I gotta say what's real, and I gotta say, yo, it's all deliberate, so they can use all them people in them countries now, the black people, to draw other black people who are not in the center. So a lot of black people are moaning now, even in my group, without insulting anyone. Yeah, but I couldn't really, not that I don't care, but I can't waste my time thinking about the plight of brothers and sisters who wanted to invest in a white world and take their self from their beloved motherland, no matter how hard it is. You chose to go to the Ukraine. You know who the Ukrainians are. You know who Russians are. You can't have been that dumb to just think everyone likes you. You know the history of what went down with us. You understand? So I can't be here with everything on my plate thinking about getting emotional. It's not that I don't have empathy. Of course I have empathy for them. I have empathy for anyone in struggle, even Mzungu. I don't care what color you are. If you're facing oppression or struggle, yeah, I got empathy for you, but I can't concern myself with, oh, Ukrainians are racist. That nigga, you just found out. You just found that out now with everything that's going on. And so you want to focus on that because it's on the news. Like I say, they control your attention. I didn't need the news to tell me that Ukraine's racist, or France is racist, or England's racist, or the American government's racist, or the Queen and our family is racist. I don't need nobody to tell me that. I've already told myself that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give it so much attention, of my attention. I'm paying so much attention that it's moved me out my center. So now it's drawn me into this Paleman'S War, because now it's a race thing. Oh, Ukrainians are racist anyway. So they're putting all these spins on it to draw us. So Putin made that statement saying, yo, all Africans do is leave Africa chasing degrees in Europe. They chase degrees in England, America. And once they get those degrees, they're not going back to Africa. They're going to England, or they're going to Dubai, or they're going to France, or they're going to Ukraine and other places like that. You understand? He says the only thing Africans do in Africa, all their money, they take it to all these other countries. They don't take it home and invest it and build up Africa. Do you understand what I'm saying? So he says the only thing they take home is the dead body. When the guy dies, they get buried in Africa. They marry in England. They have children in England or Spain or Germany or Ukraine. They have Ukrainian citizenship, and then when they're dead, they get buried in Africa. So Putin's saying, well, Africa's a graveyard for Africans, because the only thing Africans do in Africa is get buried. So he ain't wrong. He says the Africans worship Mzungu. Africans are the most colonized out of all of us. You would think it's the other way around, like I said in my group earlier. You would think that us who got taken from the motherland and who's further away from the motherland, yeah, places like Africa and America and stuff, and all the shit we go through with brutality from police and shit, will be more colonized than those on the motherland, those who got left. But that's not the story. They didn't get left. They had more colonization going on there than we have out here. That's why having a discussion with the Africans is hard work. No disrespect to my African brothers and sisters. I'm talking about in a generalized way. Having a discussion with an African who's a Christian or who's a Muslim is hard work, because you'll find 9 out of 10 times he's more colonized than you are. You know more things about African history and culture and stuff than he does. Do you understand? Or she does. Because they just fully into this white Jesus thing, or they fully into this Muslim thing where they condemning their own Orisha, or they condemning their own tradition, they condemning voodoo and Dogon, anything that don't mix with their Islam. That's some evil shit, even though the people that came up with it look like them. So that's a colonization of the mind, and they're now playing on this because they realize there's a push by many of us like myself that's pushing people away from the narrative and getting and giving people the eyes to see that the narrative is crumbling and the structure's crumbling, and they're desperate, and the best way they can bet their money is to get it make it racial, just like they did with George Floyd. That shit never fails, the race card. So now they were failing with this war narrative, and that they're ramping it up with this race thing, with the mistreatment of Africans. The Polish leaders also come out and said he ain't having no African refugees in his country. That's what he said. Yeah, shout out to Louise. She sent that. She raised that discussion up with me this rising. Yeah, the Polish president or prime minister, whatever he is, he said he ain't having no African refugees, because now there's African refugees running from this Ukraine. That's their own war. Do you understand? Where their war's not, they're not running from Putin. They're running from the Ukrainians. And the Ukrainians are supposed to be running from Putin. Do you understand? And it goes back to this same Nazi narrative. And remember, before I posted that Nazi reel on my Instagram yesterday, we had already aired out these Ukrainians saying that they're Nazis, and they trace back to the Khazars and the Ashkenazim, and they're the original Caucasians who came out the mountain. And so they're on a different thing, they're on some neo-Nazi thing. And we already said how Putin was out saying, yo, I'm going to wipe out the Nazi scourge in the Ukraine. The next day I saw that reel. Well, I seen the video, so I made it a reel. I was like, yo, this shit's for real. Like, we ain't gassing you up, we're telling you the truth. So yeah, this whole thing is a psyops, man. And to get to the African leaders, imagine if people in England that live in Spain, the Costa del Sol or whatever, started getting treated like that by the Spain government. Yo, Boris and them would have been on TV immediately. It would have been a war thing. They would have told, yo, let man, yo, even if they'd have had to pick man up, send planes out there and pick man up and come on TV and make a statement. It goes back to Treasures in the Sand. This book is written about the qualities of leadership. That's the backbone of this book. So every person that is mentioned in this book, whether male or female, we're looking at them through the eyes of leadership. What kind of person was they as a leader? What did they present to people? Their ideals, their personage, their principles. Was they a good human being? Yeah, so we're not necessarily judging them, but scrutinizing them as humans through the eyes of leadership and compassion and empathy and stuff like that. Yeah, and in the same way, we contrast it against the leaders of today and say these people are the worst example of human beings that you could give. To say, okay, Boris Johnson is the Prime Minister of UK. That's like one of the worst persons in this UK. I will bet my money on it. You couldn't find 4 or 5 worse people in the country right now than Boris Johnson. Same goes for G.I. Joe Biden. It's like they pick the worst geezer, because this is what the reptilians do, yeah, and the fallen angels. They pick the weakest families from their bloodlines and make them the governors, yeah, and raise them up. And the albinos and shit, you know, the defective ones, they celebrate that shit because they're recessive beings. So it come like, when you look at some of these politicians on the news and that, and their mouths hanging off and their jaws like lopsided, like it's got a screw in it, heroes, you know, like Frankenstein. It's like, yo, and then the way they act, compulsive lying, just look in your face and lie to the people, monetizing death, monetizing disease. Like, this is the worst example of human beings that we've got running our planet right now. And when you talk about African leaders, they're really not much different. It's like they're the worst of us black people. You can't find like 3, 4 worse black people, yeah, than some of them presidents in Africa. It's starting to change because there's certain coups going on and stuff in West Africa, Mali and shit. And them army that are taking over certain regions, yeah, they're not friendly to no French and that. They're literally raising the middle finger to Macron and them, saying, yo, we want you out here, bro. We're not paying you no money a year and shit. You understand? But the leaders that have been put in place on this post-colonial setup, where, yeah, we're free, we've got independence. Ain't no independence came to no Nigeria or no Ghana or none of that shit there. They crushed that shit. They shut it down. It was running until certain leaders got killed. Like, if you're talking about Kenyatta, and I'm not even going to say Nelson Mandela, I'm going to say Winnie Mandela, yeah, the real revolutionary, Winnie Mandela. Certain different people were trying to keep our sovereignty. When they got rid of them, or when they died, is when they made these contracts and make it look like these places are post-colonial and Commonwealth or whatever they call it. But it's all a joke, especially when it comes to black countries. Them families that they've left in the Caribbean, yeah, the politicians in the Caribbean. Another example, my 7 years in Antigua, I've seen some of the worst black devils that I've ever seen. You understand? The way that they act and the way that they are just not in the image and likeness of no kind of God. They're just Negropean, like Sambo-ass niggas, and the Lester Birds, I don't even remember much more of the names. But the same goes for African leaders like the Nigerians and, you understand, Ghanaian leaders and certain. ones, and we had one or two that stood up in this false narrative that they gave us about the Rona, and they got rid of them, just like they did the Haiti one. But I want to make it clear, we need to get rid of these African leaders and these Caribbean leaders and stuff. And when I say get rid, I mean we need to stop acknowledging them as our leaders. Do you understand? Because they're leading you off a cliff. They're leading us off a cliff, man. You mean to tell me that everybody's got, like, you've got the EU, the European Union, and they do certain shit. You've got the United States. You mean to tell me Africa up to this time can't run a United States of Africa or a African Union that's worthy of something, that's actually put some kind of infrastructure or progress into Africa? We're in 2022 according to their manipulated timeline, and up to now you don't even have planes flying from Africa to the Caribbean, or the Caribbean straight to Africa. They got to stop off in Europe, stop off in some Mzungu country first. So we're not even doing business with each other and stuff. And this is why you've got this divide as to so many black people saying, oh, I'm not even African. You understand? Caribbeans say that, not just Americans. When I was in the Caribbean as a youth, man, in my teenage, yo, Antiguans are telling me I ain't no African. I'm Antiguan, mate. It was like F Columbus. When Columbus came here, I was already here. As far as they're concerned, you go Africa, the same thing. Africans are telling you, yo, they're not my people, them Caribbean people. You understand? They got Mzungu mixed in them and all kind of stuff. It's a mad thing. So this war is a complete psyop, especially because of the timing of this Ukrainian black people stuff, which is used to rope us into this Paleman'S War. It's not our war. Same thing Dr. York used to say. He said, yo, when these Muslims start calling you up to go jihad, to go fight in Syria and Iraq and shit, that's their war. That's a Paleman thing. Don't make them fool you. Do you understand? So Africans are more colonized, yeah, than us. Generally speaking, I'm not talking about traditional Africans who are into their African spirituality and stuff. Much love to you guys. I'm talking about those Africans that want to put all their own stuff aside, yeah, to go and partake in this Roman Christianity and Hebrewism and Greek stuff and Arab Islam and all of that stuff there. So Operation Looking Glass, remember we spoke about Operation Looking Glass and how the CIA and the shadow government developed the technology from Nikola Tesla's research and notes to be able to peer into the future and into the past and shit. So they actually said, yo, we want to see into the future. And we spoke about all of this before, how they're seeing their ending. But we're never really told what that ending is. But if we look at the play going on right now, especially with Putin, whether we believe he's fighting the cabal or not, or it's just a kind of drama play, yeah, it's like, I do believe, yeah, based off my research, that what they did see, part of it is them turning on each other because they're losing control. Like they can't keep it together no more. And when they start squabbling, this thing falls apart even faster because it's such a delicate operation, all of the moving parts. They have to be all on the same page, all in cohesion every day. There's no rest for them. There's no rest for the wicked. They have to keep this shit going all the time, or else it falls down. So they need each other's cooperation, whether it's intelligence or whatnot. They need to share it with each other. So when they fall out with each other, bad things start to happen and it turns over quick for them. So I believe they started to see each other turn on each other with the Putin thing and Russia going against America. Russia and China going against America and the UK. And it's going down. Just like Matthew 24:6 says, wars and rumors of wars and all of that shit there, yeah. So I believe Operation Looking Glass saw this, and I believe it's going to spiral worse and worse out of control. I don't believe America's going to get back control over politics. Like, after Biden goes, there's not going to be some savior geezer, whether it's Trump or whoever, and now all of a sudden everybody's just, hey, we've got full faith. It's just going to keep dipping and dipping and dipping, and they're getting more and more desperate till it's getting sloppy. Like, you can actually just see through it right now, but they don't have time to tidy up anything. They're under pressure. They're under the thumb. Do you understand? So I want to say there's no good guys in this Putin's not a good guy. Whether he's fighting the cabal or not, that shit's irrelevant. He could be fighting the cabal just because he can't get his way. They're all falling out, and as far as he's concerned, he's gonna mess up the thing. He's gonna throw a spanner in the work. He's gonna defy, because the way his ego is, he's been in power for 22 years, man. He don't even have like a second advisor or nothing. It's just him running that country, literally. Yeah, and if you're like his deputy and you slip up, he'll embarrass you in public, and that he might lock your ass up. This guy's a real life, like Ivan the Terrible 2.0. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, yo, so he's gone rogue. The same thing happened to Saddam. Saddam wasn't good just because he was fighting the West. Yeah, he broke away. They made Saddam. They paid for Saddam to become Saddam and run that country like that. Why? Because they were fighting Iran. And they know that the Iraqis and the Irans don't like each other. So, okay, yo, you don't like Iran, we're fighting Iran. Here, take this money, take these guns, yeah? And now we're going to back my man, Saddam. And now Saddam got too big for his boots, where he's too hard to control now. He's on his own thing. Yo, Ba'ath Party, that's like a next Nazi party thing in the Middle East. He's making statues himself and shit. He calling himself Nebuchadnezzar. He went rogue. Osama bin Laden, the bin Laden family, them people are CIA people. He went rogue. Do you understand? So don't think just because Putin's out here on a mad thing, that means all of a sudden now he's the new savior. Like I said, I've been telling you guys in 2020 when it was thick and we was all locked down, and I gave you that live called Savior Syndrome. And I said, yo, our people are suffering from Savior Syndrome, you know. We need a savior. If it's not Jesus, it's Trump. If it's not Trump, it's Kanye West. If it's not Kanye West, it's Nipsey Hussle. It's not Nipsey Hussle, it's Vladimir Putin. Like, we need a savior. And now we're suffering the same thing again. A lot of people are making Putin the savior because he's fighting against his own. But that was written. They're going to fall out. A house of dragon, the devil fighting the devil casting out the devil. We've been through this in various different layers. Do you understand? So they turn on each other, and that fragments the cabal to the point where one side of the cabal will even say they're not the cabal. They'll say that's the cabal, and we're fighting the cabal, and we're dumb enough to believe this cabal now because he said he's not the cabal. So, yo, he's fighting against the cabal. Trump, drain the swamp, the storm. Now it's Putin. Oh, Putin, you know what? The Ukraine's got all the cabal banks and rare, yo. Putin, he's the new champion. Like, y'all niggas, y'all need to wake up, man. Yeah, because they've been doing this for a long time. And like I've been saying in my book, Coronation and stuff, they control both sides. Because, yo, they might loot the West, they might lose the people, the West. And Putin might get the people. So let's back both. So if we have to back Putin, we'll back Putin. We'll make him the hero. If we have to back the West, we'll back the West. We'll make them the hero. But we'll start with the West democracy. But if the West F up, we've got a backup plan, don't worry. Like, this thing's well thought out, man. They've been controlling two sides. Putin's just not playing ball for whatever reason. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. I'm giving you the most wisest way to look at this. So you're not just on an ego thing claiming you know it all. But it's logical to me, based on all the moving parts, that Putin is no different than Boris or Macron or Trump, or all of them are the same. They operate in the same field, in the same arena, and they serve the same masters, but they have squabbles. It's like siblings that are having fights and having squabbles and stuff. And some of them grudges go far, where it results in death and shit. This is the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the game. So we come to the point now in this Paleman'S War where we really have to break from this geopolitical matrix. We've got to stop voting, yeah? And like I said, we've got to stop watching certain news, even seeing stuff like what the Polish leader said and Putin said, and and what's happening with Africans in the Ukraine. It's not good for us because it's a distraction and it hits at our emotional chords. And so when black people get emotional, it's a bad thing. We're not in control no more. We start falling out with each other. All of a sudden, Africans is blaming Caribbeans, and Caribbeans Americans, and Americans is saying, blaming these lot, and we're not this, and we're not that, and F you, and we just start fragmenting again. Oh, how come you don't care about Ukraine? Oh, brothers and sisters, while the African leaders is never nowhere to be seen. You never see them when it's critical. I'm not talking about just making some stupid address that we don't even know what he said. Yeah, I'm talking about really coming out and making statements, addressing shit like that one. Who was he? Was he from Ghana? Was Mabuli or whatever his name is, who they killed him over the Rona shit? He was the first one I'm seeing doing that. I've seen a few more, but the one of note seen doing that in our times now, you know? Yeah, voting. Yeah, voting. You got to tune out of it, man. Because if you're voting, you're participating in this Babylon system. You're part of it. You're like, part of the blood and shit is on your hands. You're part, you feel like you have to partake in this system. I ain't never voted, I never will. Do you understand? I'll be dead before I vote. So if you're still voting, whether you're in America, England, wherever else, you're part of the system, man. You understand? I don't think you get it. I hope none of you who are watching is still partaking this voting shit, man. You understand? And also what I said about being a wage slave for your work. When you think about it, if you're doing something that you're not even meant to do, and so you don't really have freedom. You don't own yourself. Yeah, the company that you work for, they own you. They own your movement. Like, you can't just dig up and leave your job or whatever. You depend on that shit. That's like your God. And a lot of us are blind wage slaves. Oh, I can't, oh, can you come and help me do this? I can't, I got work. I got night shifts. So I can't come to see you get married. Or I can't come to see you graduate. This something that's important to you. I got work. Oh, I got work in the morning, I got to go to bed. Yeah. Wage slaves. You're never going to get them to have any kind of revolutionary spirit until it's too late. They ain't going to get to no revolution until their money stops. You understand? And that could be a month after the revolution's kicked off. It's damn near could be over. And the health system. I know in America certain places don't have no health care. That's seen as a bad thing in the world to a lot of people. In England here we have free healthcare, the NHS. That's seen as a good thing, one of the best healthcare, free healthcare systems in the world. Yeah, where everyone born here is entitled to it. Yeah. I see that as a bad thing. Why? I see America as a good thing. Why? Because Americans can't be dependent on their health, on their medical system, like they don't have an NHS. So they have to be more health conscious, even though many are not, with the fast food and the takeout eating and shit. But they're supposed to be more conscious of their health, especially when they do get sick, because that shit costs a whole lot of money. We're not talking about £10, £30 prescription over the counter chemist. We're talking about 50 bag hand operation or $100,000 leg fucking. You understand what I'm saying? Here in the UK, sometimes we overlook that because we're born here with this silver spoon healthcare system. We just rely on it, and then we think that anything it's given out is good, but it's not. So they can con us. Oh, yo, your health is our responsibility. In America, yo, your health is your responsibility, rude boy. It's only now they get into like Obamacare and healthcare because they're embarrassed because everywhere else in the world has got fucking healthcare free. America ain't got it, the land of the free. Yeah. But before that, they don't give a shit about your health, mate. Eat this fat burger, have 10 of them. We making triple extra large clothes and shit because y'all niggas so fat. You understand? You don't even get that shit in England. Like triple X, the large hamburger. Yeah? Extra large, that's it. If you need anything else, buy 4 of them. Or in America, you can get like 4 X's on the shit and that, yeah. It's crazy. So, yeah, it's not really good when we look at how people depend on the healthcare system here. And that's why they're so easy to rely on this allopathic system here, where they don't question what they're being given or the method of healing that they're using in this Western health system. Jabs, flu vaccines, you know what other else vaccines, all of this artificial synthetic stuff. We've got to leave all of that alone. Get out of the politics, stop voting. Figure out how you can become less reliant on your work. Have more streams of income. If you're a creative person, start getting creative and selling your stuff and having confidence in your gifts that Mother Nature gave you for you to make a living, because your gifts and talents is what Mother Nature gave us so that we could prosper in this reality and do something that is natural to us and that we love doing. And if we love doing it, we don't work a day in our life because it's something that we love doing. My brother working with horses, that's not work for him. He loves that shit. Them horses love him. That's a magical experience when you go around them horses and stuff. Me writing books and stuff, that's not me working. That's I write books in my head. Do you understand? This is a book that I'm giving to you here. So it's something I like doing, so that if I can make this prosper, I'll never work a day in my life. You understand? So figure out a way, whatever you do, if it's painting, if it's singing, if it's writing, if it's sports, figure out a way to make it work for you. And it doesn't necessarily mean on a commercial thing. It could be in the community, teaching children, running workshops for children, or something, just monetizing different streams of income. So now you're having, you got more free time, man, to invest into the things you want to do and the things that's important to you. Because if you just ride on this work system, yeah, or this benefit system, yeah, or this political voting stuff, you're literally in a dead end loop. You're just going on you're on the hamster wheel. You're more plugged in than anyone else because you're doing that and you're still listening to information like this. Do you understand? Common law, all of us, even myself, it's time we register ourselves under common law, not just speak about it no more, because compared to other things that we spend our money on, that shit's cheap. Yeah, for us to just register ourselves under common law and start schooling ourselves on what common law is, how I speak it, how I live it, and how I take back my sovereignty, and stop messing around, man, because we don't have time to waste. If you've got dual heritage and you're somebody, and my cousin, shout out to Samantha for reminding me about this the other day, of dual heritage, yeah, and you're running on a USA passport, but you've got Jamaican ancestry and shit, or Caribbean ancestry, or you're in England and you've got Caribbean ancestry or African ancestry or whatever, apply for passports from back home. And I'm not trying to make you fear or nothing like that, but yo, the future belongs to those who prepare for it. If you fail to prepare, you prepare yourself to fail. So I would say, as my advice, which came from my cousin Samantha in Antigua, she's like, yo, have you got your Antiguan passport? I was there 7 years and I didn't get it. I just didn't see it as important. And now I'm like, yo, I wish I would have got my Antiguan passport, you know. And my mom, she's Jamaican, telling me, yo, you need to apply for your Jamaican passport. It's like, hold on, for real? I don't want to be traveling on an English passport, especially now. I'm not no Englishman. I don't care what perks it's got on there. Yeah, compared to how that passport and that nation is viewed right now, I don't even want to be using that stuff there, especially if it gets peaker than now. So if you're in the same position as me, take the time to ring passport office and say, yo, how do I apply for it if you're eligible for it? Like I said, I spent 7 years there growing up, from like 13 to 20 years old. So I'm entitled to that shit. My dad's from there. I spent 7 years there. I want it. You understand? When I was there, I was too young. I didn't understand. I want it. Yeah? Same for Jamaica. My mum's from there. I want it. I ain't never been. I don't care. I want it. If you give me one, I'll come and visit. Whatever. But we need to have not just American passports, not just European passports, not just English passports. Because I guarantee you, them Muzungu folk who have got dual heritage, they got both passports. Them American Israelis, they've got Israeli one, they've got American one. Them German UK people, they got a UK one, they got a German one. Like, we're slacking. So I'm glad my cousin reminded me of that. Yeah. Also, be aware, yeah, of the new Strawman. I don't know if you know about Strawman when it comes to common law. That's something for you to research. I won't go into all the details of it, but it's basically the fake you, where just using all your details, you're just a bunch of information, and that information that is a replica of you, that's what's called your Strawman. So now they've got a new Strawman. All of us have got a digital Strawman made off your digital footprint. Everything you've watched, everything you've downloaded, everything you've posted, every online transaction you've spent on, and that, in an effort for them to be able to determine what decisions, your actual thought thinking, decision thinking process, your actual decision making thought process. They want to clone it by cloning your information online as a kind of strawman thing, where they can even dictate the decisions you're going to make and come up with. This is the reason why they're giving you so much advertisements when you're online and shit like that. Like this AI is studying you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Hold on. So yeah, that's your digital replica. It's an actual digital replica of you. It takes notes of all your friends and everything, the conversations you have with who, where, when, what about, all of that shit. Do you understand? That's what Mark Zuckerberg and all them have been doing when they've been fiddling with our information behind the curtains. It's all leading towards that digital straw man that they've built up, yeah, based on our information, especially personal and private information, like never before. The whole world is a CIA thing, yeah. So if you ever seen the Minority Report with Tom Cruise, this strikes a very uncanny, sinister similarity where they could predict events before they even happened. When you take this technology into account, what we're speaking about here, it's easy to see how they could actually reach that goal of what you see in the Minority Report with Tom Cruise. Good movie. If you haven't watched it, and you have a more clearer understanding of what we're talking about here. Yeah, and also I would like to draw us back to the point that I made in 2020 about China's quantum network. I spoke about how China was the first nation to launch a quantum network into space. Since I made that statement online, if you from 2010, look at the transition that China's made from the moment I made you aware, okay, they've gone quantum. Look at all the stuff that China's done in the headlines and how its whole attitude is now changed. Like I told you, nobody can spy on China no more. You can't hack their system. All the details is in my book, Coronation Agenda 21, where I told you guys the date that China launched up a quantum network and beat America and everybody else to the punch. And now they're the big fish because they've got this AI quantum network, and America's scrambling with Elon Musk and all of them to try and match what China's did. Do you understand? And remember, Putin's riding with China, the dragon and the bear. So yeah, I just want to remind you of that so you can look into that yourself, exactly what a quantum network is. Again, I'm not going to get into the details. I'll stretch out the line. So yeah, they've lost control basically. All the moving parts. It's a delicate operation that these cabal 13 bloodlines are running, and they need everybody to be pulling in the same direction. So when shit goes like how it is now, the whole thing falls apart and it becomes see-through, because the nature of these guys means that they start throwing each other under the bus anyway and make the situation worse. You understand? Like Putin calling Ukrainians Nazis and shit like that. Like, it's not, the cabal is not just Nazis. The cabal has Democrats, Republicans, Nazis, fucking communists, socialists, the lot. So a lot of us think one-dimensionally. Like, we want, okay, the Nazis is the bad guys, so whoever's fighting against the Nazis is the good guys. It doesn't work like that. That's not how the cabal works. They don't have one ideology. Zionism's another one. That's another part. That's probably the main one. Or the Jesuits thing. You understand? So it's not just Nazis. Yeah, they fight each other when they have these world wars and stuff. There's no good guy and bad guy. They're all slave masters, and they're fighting over the spoils of war. And they're going to bring each other to an end. And I think it's going to be through nuclear war. So we got to prepare for nuclear fallout. Yeah, so all the shit's falling apart, man. There's no coordination from them no more. Yeah, and the manipulation is rife out here. I'm talking about political manipulation, yeah, fraud in politics and shit, man. Whether it's with the, you know, when the parties get funded and stuff, it's just all fraud. It's just deception, yeah. Weather manipulation, we've seen with all these fake suns and the fake weather and shit, fake snow, manipulated geostorms and shit like that. What else? The climate change, that's a whole manipulated climate change thing going on here. They're driving climate change with the manufacturer, more and more cars every year in these they ain't cutting no, and they telling us to take the whack for you to cut your carbon footprint. but they're not cutting theirs. They're still producing all these cars. People in the West, in Europe and America and stuff, their carbon footprint's like 5 to 15 times higher than someone in Africa or in India or whatever. But people in India and Africa have to suffer you understand, the same as Europe made all of this shit with the industrial revolution and all this insect reptilian technology clogging up heating up the planet. Yeah, media manipulation. So you got political, climate manipulation, media propaganda manipulation. You understand? It's just the corruption in the world is just rife. It's everywhere, and it's in people too. Like people do people dirty right now. You got to be very cautious of the level of trust that you give to people, not just because you grew up with them or you know them or they're your family or they're your spouse. None of that shit. It's like people, the corruption and the vices and the character flaws and stuff is so intense right now. That's why I was saying in that other live right now, a lot of people are revealing who they really are, like for the first time. So be very vigilant, and you're gonna have to use discernment to, especially when it comes to trust, because people will do you dirty out here right now. This world is built off corruption, and corruption is like taught as a quick route to success, where people just step on each other's toes for their own self gratification or for their own progress or whatever. Man, it's dangerous out here. Yeah, and I wanted to say as well, if you check politics how it's done today in the world, none of our ancestors did politics in the way that it's been done today. So what makes us stay in this Western political Greco-Roman system and not say, hold on, why don't we just like forget all about this and just like go back to our own original ways, like the house of Pharaoh. Remember what I said, Pharaoh doesn't mean the king. Pharaoh means great house. So you're talking about the man, the wife, rulers, all their children, all the people who work in the great house, the house of light. So cleaners, servants, scribes, whatever. If you work in there, you're the Pharaoh. That whole institution is the Pharaoh. That was politics for us. This shit was sacred. It was tied to the Neteru. This was the incarnation of the Neteru. Everyone respected them. We was on a Maatian thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Why don't we? That's just one example, yeah. But why everywhere in the world are we doing okay? Democrats, democracy. Like who said that's better than our theocracy or the way that we do things? Why is no African leader, yeah, think about it, said, listen, I'm not doing my shit like this, coming out in suit and tie and shit. I'm going back to my African culture. I don't need to wear this Mzungu suit here. You understand? Gaddafi, you could say, did that. You hardly ever seen Gaddafi in no Mzungu suit. Yeah, he would always be in some kind of native attire. Maybe that's why, one of the reasons why, yo, we have to wipe him, because he's definitely not playing ball. You understand? He's either in his army shit or he's in some traditional African shit. I ain't never seen dude in no suit and tie. Shout out 21 gun salutes to Muammar Gaddafi. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we had an institution of Pharaoh, and I believe, because remember, a lot of us keep talking about problems. I gave this as one of my solutions, that in our regions, like say, okay, my area of Leicester is called Highfields, yeah? So Highfields should have a Pharaoh, yeah? When I say Pharaoh, a great house, a male and female couple who are good examples of human beings, meaning that they're such good examples of human beings, we make them our leaders, yeah? And we venerate them to the point where we give them the last word. If we've got very important decisions and stuff, we give them the last word on it, yeah? They have worked with a council of elders in the community, not even elders, a council of people. It's even got some young people on there on the council. And the council consult with the Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh make the ultimate decision. Okay, council, we agree. Or nah, we don't agree, council, we're going to do it this way. You see, black people need something to venerate again. None of this politics works for us when we don't respect who that personage is in that seat. The only reason why the institution of Pharaoh worked for us and put us in the position we was in is because everyone believed in it. Up to Pharaoh Ramesses III, so way up to the 20th dynasty when it fell apart. and people started robbing the house of Pharaoh and robbing the tombs, and they just lost all respect for it because it just weren't the same. But before that point, like we tell you in our glorious book, before that point, that shit worked for everyone, not even just in Egypt, going way down into Sudan and Ethiopia and shit. You was recognized. They know who you were. They knew what you was about. Everyone was on match. You had to be accountable for yourself. Yeah, because the whole nation would hold you to account, and Pharaoh couldn't save your ass if you was guilty. You get me? We need a institution, something like that again, back in our modern system now, in our communities, even if it was city to city, yeah, and then ultimately have a main one that was over all of the cities. If we don't go back to that, we're doomed. We're gonna stay in this Mzungu politics, this Caesar, Shakespearean drama play, Flavius Josephus bullshit. You understand? And that's why these African leaders have to be held to account, because none of them ain't stepped us away from the table of this Mzungu shit. They're happy to portray themselves as Mzungu and share the spoils with them Mzungu. They're living happily. They're living plush. Do you understand? They're living plush. So if they're not being vilified in the media, they're dickheads. And the ones who are being vilified in the media, they was the ones who was trying to take steps to move this shit forward and away from the Mzungu. People like Robert Mugabe, rest in peace. And I know a lot of black people don't like him. Yeah? But I don't care how you feel. Like, that's somebody to me who showed me that, yo, you have to stand up to these Mzungu here. We're not bowing to them. You understand? And he did time in jail, just like Nelson Mandela. I'm talking about a long time. Anyway, let's move on. So this assimilation, we've been assimilated, man. Just like we're being assimilated again into this AI transhumanism shit, into some new industry, yeah? Just like the industrial age before, we've gone into now the AI age. And just like the industrial age changed the world, like, think about it, how all this shit changed into what it is now, cities and pollution and technology and rare, and yeah, such a drastic change in life to before that industrial revolution, or the cover up of Tartaria, however you want to see it. Yeah, it's the same thing that's going to happen now with all this AI, metaverse, yeah, transhumanism, yeah, yo, transgender. That shit's going to change life so drastic. It's going to be like how we look at the like Victorian times and shit. That's how that time is going to look at now, you see, because we're being assimilated, yeah, and integration didn't work for us, yeah. That's why people like Martin Luther King was talking about, he feels like he's took his people into a burning house, because like I said, before integration we had our own Wall Street, Black Wall Street, Tulsa. They had to burn that shit down because we was doing better than they was. We were better at business than they was. We were good. We can do for ourselves. Like they like to say, oh, black people have to depend on white people and we can't do for ourselves. When we're forced to do for self, when we don't have a choice, we're natural survivors. Nobody don't know survival better than us. We survived slavery. We survived all the shit they threw at us. You understand? It's only when they open up and give you that Mzungu smile, I want to shake your hand, yeah, and you fall for it. And now you give up all your independence. You had your own sports industries, you had your own Wall Streets and shit. You had your own kind of banking system. You had your own everything, transport system, taxes. You had your own kind of like smaller Hollywood where people would come and perform. And, yo, we had our own everything until this integration thing came when the Mzungu was like, bastard, we can't leave them on this. So we can't push them away, you know. If we push them away, they'll make us look stupid. We got to trick them to make them feel like they need us. They need our acceptance. A lot of us, even to this day, still need white people's acceptance. We need Mzungu's acceptance, even for our messages. Even if we've got something to tell our own people, we need Mzungu validation. Even for that, like we need people still need it because of the integration in that period where we feel like we won something. Like, oh, yo, we want equal rights and we want yo, that shit don't work. Do you understand? Look how long we've been talking about that. The situation, you could say, is worse now than it was in the 70s. It's gone back to how it was at least. We ain't progressed. Yo, George Floyd's are still getting killed out there. They're still finding black women turning up dead and missing after going on dates with weirdos and shit, man. Ain't nobody speaking up about it or nothing. Ain't nothing changed there. Yeah, man. So just to move on, prepare for nuclear fallout to happen before 2030. So when I say prepare, I'm not just saying this, man, to give you words. I'm saying, man, buy yourself a gas mask. That's what I'm looking to do. One of them. Forget that corona mask. I want a gas mask with the bit of plastic, the thing that I put over my here. Yeah. Yo, sleeping bags, torches, invest in a generator, like even a camper van. Yeah, yo, it's time, man, to start. Yo, weapons, I'm already half where I need to be. Yeah, but I got to think about other stuff. Like, yo, we need to be, yo, petrol, fuel, storing up some tins, saying, yo, this month I'm gonna spend £200 on petrol and just have it parked up somewhere. I'm not using it. There might come a point where them queues are so long at the petrol station and stuff. I can't be doing this Ukraine thing where the lines for 3 miles and shit, man. Yo, ain't nobody got time for that. It's like you have to focus on these things now. Food, canned food, iron, beans, yeah, canned like vegetables, like mixed veg, whatever, man. Like, yo, now is the time to start thinking about this shit, man, whatever you can. Because this nuclear fallout, this war, it might just be the rumors right now, like I said, but this shit about to kick off before 2030. I guarantee you, I will bet my life on it. Yeah. And remember all that Russian collusion talk that they were talking about Trump? Really, it was just a way for them to tell you that they set up this whole Russian thing that's going on now from back in the day with Obama and them. So Obama and Biden and the Democrats was setting all of this shit up in play. Whether we're talking about the Rona and the pandemic with the World Economic Forum and stuff, whether we're talking about the withdrawal from Afghanistan, whether we're talking about the thing going on with Putin and Ukraine now, all of that shit was set up by the Democrats. And in order for them to tell us about it, the twist they put on it was like, oh, Trump did it. Trump colluded with these guys, when really it was them. But this is how they give us the revelation of the method. So all that Russian collusion stuff, yeah, with skin mask Biden, that skin mask president, he's being controlled by Obama and Hillary Clinton and the Democrats, Pelosi and them. Biden ain't running nothing. That's why he keeps referring to this they. Who's they? They can tell him what to say and what not to say, and when he can answer questions and what questions he can answer. This they that he's talking about is the Democrats, is Obama and Trump and all of them. Obama and Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and them. Yeah, and even the clue for that is in the Olympics when they did that. You know, when they opening, the Olympic opening was at Beijing, and they had all that spike ball symbology. Yeah, the spike balls or the Rona in their opening ritual, if you want to call it a ritual. Yeah, but I did say to you, even to put it in writing in coronation, that I did think they was behind schedule. I think their plan that they had for their new world order was so far behind schedule that they started to get real like fidgety, real agitated. So it's like they rushed this pandemic, and the clue for that is in Trump's word for his project, which is Operation Warp Speed. They need to warp speed, yo, we're behind schedule. It's like someone saying, yo, come on, let's get on, lads. You're taking too long. Warp speed. So these niggas was behind schedule, yeah, and that's what to me warp speed means, why they came up with this shit. They say in 1 year, which is really more like 11 years, because it started in 2020, their research into these shits. So 11 years they took to make this shit, which is still pretty quick, because a lot of these things take 15, some even 20 years to get right. So within 11 years, they telling us 1 year, Operation Warp Speed, they've come up with this shit, because they've been forced to launch this pandemic. Like I said, something forced their hand. Whether you think it's Nibiru or Anunnaki or the awakening with us just on Earth, whatever, so it forced their hand. And that's why we see this whole pandemic thing was botched. It's based on botched science, and I think it's deliberate. When I say botched and deliberate, they knew that this shit weren't ready, that people will have reactions, and it's botched science and it's fake science. But they didn't really have the time to consider and iron out none of that shit. At the end of the day, it's still going to get the job done. Does it still make a remote control? the ones that survive, launch the thing. Like that's how they don't have time to play no more. Do you understand? So it's deliberate. And this is what we say in part 2 of Coronation, which is COVID 1984, when they say that these pharmaceutical companies are exempt from any, you know, when people get injured and that, we can't hold them to account and stuff because the government passed laws and shit. Yeah, that can't stand up if you know that this was deliberate, and you can prove, like we can with our books, that this was deliberate, and that means it was intentional affliction or harm. So none of these pharmaceutical companies can be exempt from deliberately harming people. So all we've got to do is prove that they knew that this shit would harm people and it's deliberate. Yeah, and that means that them laws passed by the government won't even stand, because we're talking about a total different thing. If they never knew that the shit was going to cause harm and it caused harm, okay, you're exempt. That's a different thing. That's what they're talking about. But now people, even international lawyers, are proving that this was intentional infliction of harm. So therefore, none of these companies can be exempt. Yeah. Yeah. So again, that goes against the Nuremberg Code. Guys, I'm going to get to the end now. I'm closing out. Yeah. So Corona reaction videos, you know, all the videos with people like spazzing out and having reactions and the big tongue hanging out the face, all these bad reactions that the corona was giving to people. Where are all them videos gone? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because it's not like you can't just say, oh well, the vaccination program stopped. It ain't stopped. They're just not speaking about it the same. Out in the street, they still want you to go on like the shit's for real. I tried to visit a friend in jail the other day. They tell me I got to stuff one of them things up my nose. I had to tell my friends, yo, I'm not coming down, because they want me to stuff that rapid, what is it? Lateral rapid, I don't even know what the thing's called. Yeah, they want me to stuff that up my nose. Yeah, when this thing's supposed to be done. You're telling us on the news that it's just like a flu, but you still want me to stuff this thing up my nose. So the thing's not done, but we don't see these reaction videos no more, or we don't see no follow up to them. The people that were doing that, were they actors? Was it a thing to make us panic or something? Like, I don't think they were actors, but it's possible. Do you understand? Where are all these videos gone? Where are all these people gone? Are they still fighting? Are they still trying to like get compensation? Yeah, just like the virus itself, they've all disappeared, mate. Nobody's talking. Let's move on. The hip hop generation. The hip hop generation is poisonous, and I say that being a hip hop artist myself, even though you haven't heard much of my stuff. I'm bringing this up because I want you to be aware that there's two agendas in hip hop, just like the Anunnaki, and the evil agenda is the one that's on top. You understand what I'm saying? So when I say the hip hop generation is poisonous, I'm talking about in terms of children, its influence on young people. So I'm advising all of you right now to stop letting your children listen to today's hip hop, man. Stop letting them listen to these songs comfortably, like without pulling them up about these songs and what's actually been said and what kind of person the person is, and telling them don't play that music in your house and shit, to make them know, yo, my people ain't really down with this shit here, to make them think a little more, because a lot of us are giving our children over to Satan through these musicians. These musicians are aspiring to their, like, yo, you gotta understand, it's like when you're a kid and you watch Disney, or you watch one of them Disney things like Aladdin, or one of them fucking, yo, you're infatuated with the things put you in dream world and shit, man. You've got aspirations based on this shit, paradigms and stuff. When we let our children watch these kind of music, Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion and all these negative guys talking about killing and trap and drinking, poison, future and all of this, promiscuous sex and shit, you're handing your children over to Satan. You are handing your children over to Satan, and you are to blame for it. You can't blame the artist. You can't blame Nicki Minaj for saying they're Satanist, or you are to blame, because you're handing your children over to these Satanists. And once your children are handed over into that realm, once they step into that realm, it's very hard for them to come back from there. I'm saying that because I've been there as a chosen one. I was obsessed with having a music career to the point where I don't want to write no books or give no lectures or nothing. I want to have money. I want to beat gal. I want to have cars. Till my life went upside down. I ended up in jail on some manslaughter shit. Till I had to think, yo, Dan, there must be a different plan for me. Either I'm going to do 25 years in here because this geezer didn't get up, or I'm just going to believe there's something that I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to write a book. Write a book and we'll get you out of here. 4 years. Yo, I started writing the book. I'm speaking as Amun looked down. Yeah. And I got 4 years. And here I am, 6 books deep, telling you this. Do you understand? So I'm saying, man, don't give your children over to this hip hop culture, because you're handing them over to the devil. And the subliminal seduction, it works like Disney. Just like Disney works on real little kids. Yeah, your young children, when they come to this hip hop shit and they see how Cardi B's going on, that's a beautiful sister right there. When they're putting all that glitter on her and putting it with success and cars and all the cool guys, do you know the kind of effect that has on your young daughter and your son? Don't matter what we're saying here. We don't look like how they look on that TV. Yeah, they can see us struggling, sometimes pulling our hair out. These people, they don't never see them struggling. These people are selling them a pipe dream, an aspiration there. Again, Revelation 13:15, and he had power to give. He had power to give life to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast could walk and talk and move. Media, TV, Hollywood, the real. Yo, that shit there is poisonous to children, man. From Disney all the way up, man, to this music. Music is Hollywood right now. When your young children are listening to these Steph London, do you understand? And Drake and Future, Scissor, yeah, Atterall, all this new age, Mandy, Molly, all this messed up chemical drugs, man. Your children end up brain damaged. Yeah, so stay aware of that. Yeah. What we've seen is the first wave of the attack on our moral values and principles, and it really didn't go as well as they thought it would. Yeah, that's the reason they're no longer talking about this shit, because they came to a roadblock where after all the sheep took the thing, the 1 ton suit, the rest people were like, hell no, we're not taking that thing there. We called them out on so many different things, they had to just put the white flag up. Like, okay, let's just go with these. Next, yeah, the Russians, yeah? So now they're going to try another wave on our moral values and principles and shit. The first one was your medical freedom, yeah? It's interesting to know what this second one's going to be. I feel like it's going to be the financial thing. Like, we're not going to have money no more. We're going to do money on a social credits thing. Like, something serious is coming that's going to change the game, the chess game, to a whole different game. Yeah, and that's why this season you got to protect your energy more than you've ever protected it before, because when they start moving the goalposts, people's nature starts to be revealed. People start changing with the seasons. You understand what I'm saying? When they start moving stuff in this manufactured world, people that are tied to certain narratives and certain different vices and stuff, they start changing the way they interact with you. Do you understand? And I don't know exactly why, but that's how I feel. So it's very important to protect your energy this season, because people, they don't interact from a place of abundance. They interact from a place of fear. So when we're in a fear-based system and they turn up the fear with war and all of that stuff, the way people operate starts to get a bit, yo, people start going on a bit, yo, this person's going on a bit weird. Yeah, and sometimes it's under the skin, so you don't see it at first. But then when you start analyzing situations, you're like, yo, you can feel certain things. Sometimes people will put it in sarcasm. They'll put it in jokes. They'll take digs. Yeah, and they'll go on like it's just a friendly joke or a familiarity thing. But really, it's revealing some deep truths that they're trying to like dampen the blow. But really, whatever they're telling you, you should believe them. Yeah, it's not just a joke. Like, more and more, I see a lot more people doing that. People that I'm close to, that a lot of them end up turning on you for whatever reason. But you can sense the kind of like, hold on, there's a reason why you keep making that sarcastic joke. You understand? That's not a joke. That's a dig. Or there's a reason they test how far they can go. It's a mad thing. Be careful the secret animosity, and don't argue with people that are religious about spiritual things like Ma'at and the ancestors and Egypt and black people. Like if it's a staunch Christian or staunch Muslim, you got no business standing up there trying to debate and trying to like enforce in someone's head that you're doing this just the same like what religion's done to us. Like, don't feel you got to force anybody to know anything. Like, when I come on here, I'm not trying to convince no one. I'm trying to connect with the people that's already convinced. We're just sharing details and sharing notes. Do you understand what I'm saying? Don't think that you have to go out there and batter people and badger people with arguments and prove your point and push it on people, whether they're family, whether they're friends, whatever. Do you understand? Discuss the things with people who are on your same vibration, whether they're your equals, whether they got less knowledge than you, whether they got more knowledge than you. Discuss it with them rather than the religious people who want to make it an argument about religion and Jesus. And you understand? Stop doing that, because we're way beyond that point. I'd say we're like 20, 30 years, maybe 20 years beyond that point right now. It's finished. That time's finished, man. Like anyone who awakes from this point is because of all the work that they've been doing over the last, let's say, 10 years. So there's still a chance for them, but it's nothing to do with us having to argue with someone and batter them with an argument to convince them. That's a religious thing. Do you get me? So, and also, when I say stay aware of the narrative, yeah, but also at the same time, don't pay attention to the narrative. Like, it's a half truth when I say stay away from the narrative. I mean, don't get sucked into it. Stay aware of everything. Don't ignore shit. Oh, I don't watch the news, so I don't know nothing. I know all the shit that's going on in the news. I know what they're saying or what the narrative is, what the headline is. But I'm not getting sucked into it, where I have to keep going and checking and where I know just from going on social media and what the next narrative is and shit. Do you understand? It's fine to do that with whoever news source, but me, I just don't trust certain news sources. It's just like counterproductive to use anything as credible from them. But at the same time, there are sources where you can go and have a look at what the narrative is and that without getting sucked in. I'm just saying more time, don't get sucked into it. Don't bet all your dollars that what you're hearing is 100% correct. It don't work like that. You might have to look in 5, 6 different other places and compare what everybody's saying to reach your own conclusion. Yeah. And also, when you're chasing goals in life, remember also that you got to live life too. So chasing goals and slaying goals and all of that is wicked grind, yeah, but you also got to rest, and you also got to reward yourself, and you also got to live, because living in itself is just beautiful. Just being able to take the pressure off yourself and not having to do nothing extra, but enjoying gratitude that I'm alive, I've got health, I'm going to enjoy my time today and do some stuff that I want to do because my soul feels lighter doing it. It could be listening music, it could be going playing tennis, it could be reading a book, but I'm going to do that and take the moment out and stop from my goals, whether it's writing books or horses or music or whatever. I'm going to take a break, and it's hard for us if you're someone like me. I have to force myself, yo, I need to take a break. I'm just on this work thing, yeah? But yo, it's not just about chasing your dreams and slaying goals and grinding and shit. You need rest, man. Your body needs reward. Your body needs, mind and soul needs pampering and needs release and process and shit like that, man. Self-love, you get me? And also, I want to say, beauty and brains is a superpower, just like brains and brawn is a superpower. There's a lot of good-looking people in the world right now that are just good-looking. That's it. There's not much other than they look good and they like to look good, and fair play to them. Do you understand? But beauty and brains, when I see a woman that's beautiful, but then her her being, like what she's about, her passions, her principles, her mannerisms, her concerns, her speech, yo, them shit there is a power. Her talent, like, you understand. And it's the same for a guy. There's a lot of guys that look nice. They look, yo, in the eyes of a woman, they'll be like, yo, that's a nice looking dude. But then behind that, there's nothing. More time, it's just wage slaves that just want to spend money looking good. But women are meant to lead. Yeah, so we need to put as much focus, and sometimes I'm guilty just as anybody else because we all like beauty, but we need to put as much focus on the sisters that are not only beautiful but got the brains too. And I'm not saying that every woman has to be beautiful or every man has to be beautiful, and that we can't celebrate somebody who we don't consider beautiful. Of course we can. But I'm just speaking from a perspective, we all admire beauty, but I'm just saying, don't be so fickle to think that just because a girl's beautiful, or even me, if I'm saying, yo, this girl's beautiful and I like the way she looks, it doesn't mean that, yo, I would like to be with her. I might not like the way she thinks. Do you understand? It might be the same with some of you sisters. When you see a guy, you might like the way he looks, you might not like the way he thinks. But beauty and brains right now, like self-identity and shit, that's like gold right now. Like, especially, I'm speaking from my perspective as a man, a sister that knows what she's about. She got something to teach me. She's not just here to hear what I gotta say. She got some shit to teach me. And I'm not talking about just ancient stuff, history, shit about life, shit about love, shit about myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? I just want to put that out there because I know there's a few girls who's infatuated with me, and I'm not using this as a bash, but I'm just saying the infatuation of me is totally different than the reality of me. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I just want to make it clear that I'm a kind of person who I'm going to, if I see a beautiful black woman, I'm going to celebrate the fact that she's beautiful, yes. But what I want to see is women that are celebrating their, whether they play a violin, I just like talent. You see, when the sister's got talent with that beauty, that's power. Because to me, the sister's supposed to rule. I put it in here, man. They're supposed to rule. They're not supposed to just be beautiful and shaking their ass, twerking. They supposed to be rulers. They supposed to be leaders. They supposed to be, yo, just, you understand? So I wanted to just put that out there. Like, infatuation is nice, I'm flattered, but the reality of me is totally different than the infatuation of me. On camera, you don't see the dark sides of me. Do you understand? You only see me doing this. Do you understand what I'm saying? But anyway, beauty and brains is a superpower right now, and it's few and far between. You don't really get a lot of people, guys or girls, that are very confident about who they are, what they want, where they go in. You understand what I'm saying? And especially women, I find that black women, when I interact with a lot of black women, it's like, hold on, you don't even know what you want. You like plus 30, you don't even know what the hell you want. Like, yo, you understand? And like, again, it's not to knock anybody. I'm just giving you my truth. Do you see what I'm saying? So admiration is different than lust. I admire women, beauty, to the point where it can look like lust. I get that. But I'm not lusting like, yeah, oh, like, I just love to go and jump in bed with anything. Nah, I just admire, like, celebrating my sisters. If I see somebody that is like a sister and she into modeling and stuff, I'm a supporter. Just like I want somebody to support me with my books or my music or whatever. I'm a supporter. If she's a sister and she's hot and rare, I'm a pusher. I'm throw up on my story the whole shit. I'm gonna speak to her and tell her I'm a fan. Not in a way where I'm trying to be a pervert or nothing. Of course, you understand. But that's how we supposed to be and build our own. They do it with their own. Mzungu do that with their own. They build up their white women, man. That's not even that good, that hot. Whether it's your bloody Scarlett Johansson or whatever, who to us, that's just an average chick. Yeah, so we should do the same with our own sisters, and not just the Megan Goods and stuff, but I'm talking about real sisters that have jobs, that are mothers, yeah, that don't have the plastic surgery. I'm talking about, they're the ones that are winning. I'm not talking about that fake shit, man, with the plastic surgery and none of that stuff there. So admiration over lust, yeah. The colour of thinking looks better than just how a gal looks or how curvy she is or whatever. I want to see how curvy her mind is. I want to make love to her mind. And It's only when you connect with somebody's mind that you see them in the true light. You understand? You're not going to see them in the true light unless you get a way to connect with their mind. Maybe I'm a sapiosexual. Yeah. And remember, I was having this discussion with a sister earlier, well, last night, and I mentioned to her that some people were raised off love, some people were raised off survival. There's a big difference. And we need to pay close attention when we're going into a relationship to find out, is this person based off love or is this person based off survival? Maybe at a later time I'll do a live just based on that, because I could pick that apart, but I'm not going to do that here. We've already been on this live long enough, and I want you to just do this before I go gym. Well, let me do an early surprise live, innit? But yeah, some people were raised on love, some people were raised on survival. At a later time, we'll speak about that, probably call that live love language, yeah? But align to your path, man, yeah? And you will know that you're aligning to your path based on these things we were speaking about trying to find a way to break away from being a wage slave and stuff. You will feel it. You'll feel inside, yo, I'm going in the right direction. You know what you need to do and where you need to go. We need to get out of the fear of it. Fear of, yo, not having a wage. The fear of the unknown. Yeah, because like I said, this whole system's based on fear as to why we all just stick to what we're doing. Like there's gravity involved. Nobody like deviates. Hardly anybody deviates because, yo, yo, you know what I'm talking about. Make progress, man. Do a to-do list. Have a to-do. I have one in my phone where I have a number of things that I got to do this today. I got to edit my sister's book. Yeah, I got to look at this application, funding application. Yeah, I have to do that, or else I lose track in the day. I might do one of these things and overspend time on it and then forget about the other things and I've not got round to it. So structure your day, put a to-do list down. And then at the end of the day, ask yourself, how did I do today? Well, I did 4 out of 5. Okay, that's acceptable. Tomorrow I need 5 out of 5 or 2 out of 2 or whatever it is. Do you know what I'm saying? Try and have a progress within yourself, better yourself, and start feeling yourself from within, not outside. Start feeling yourself from within. Feel your kundalini, move that shit about you. You know how we rock, man. Yeah, guys, that's what I want you to talk about. There's not much else I got to say. So let me just do a click for it. Ducknet Cloud. What does that mean, Ducknet Cloud? Greetings. I think what is going on should serve as a caution to us menelated people. There is always a lesson for us to put our act together. That's true, but I don't even take it as a lesson. I take it as a pantomime show. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, because you don't have to climb a mountain to see it's high. I already knew the Ukraine was powder keg. We already knew that it could go off at any time and stuff. So you had to have considered that before you went there and accepted it. And not that you're speaking specifically about this Ducknet Cloud, but and if you didn't know that that was the case with Ukraine before you went there, then you are a very uninformed person. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even, there's no lesson for me. That I already had that lesson. Like, they're racist, man. Polish are racist, Putin's a racist. Yeah, they say Russia's never invaded Africa, so that means they're not racist. That don't mean they're not racist. They never felt the need to invade Africa. Do you understand? The West is doing that. They're bossing up their own section of the world, like the Siberian, the Eastern Bloc and stuff. You get me? So I understand why you see it like that, but I don't even see it as a lesson, rude boy. Like, I see it as a distraction, and that's the only thing that I see it as. They have to bring race into it because we're dealing with a Paleman'S War. This is a Muzungu war. It's got nothing to do with black people. So they have to pull us in through race, and they got. It's just, it so happens that Ukraine has got all these black people there. I didn't even know there was all these black people there. Let me read you a few lines from Treasures before I go, yeah? Yeah. Each time that you, this is page 184. Each time that you incarnate, you are supposed to remember that each being is responsible for their own actions. You cannot blame anybody else but yourself. Ultimately, you choose your own circumstances. Each of us has a memory all the lifetimes in which we were incarnated into humans. But sometime long ago, our fourth age of humanity got disconnected from the invisible, the spiritual aspects of self. For nothing in the universes is wasted or truly expires. We built the ancient monuments so that we could remind ourselves of our great purpose, which was to reach back beyond the stars, knowing we would return in the future to relearn the higher mysteries of existence and put together the jigsaw puzzle of physical life. The oldest stories are written in the stars, and the monuments align with and point to them. Your ancestors, the stars, yourself, has something very important to tell yourself, something more powerful than both birth and death. It is time to see through the illusion. Remember to remember. Boom. Guys, with that being said, that's the end of the transmission. We love you all. Stay out of the Paleman'S War. It's not our war. He trying to drag us into this war. It's not our war, man. And we can't save everybody. Yeah? Plug out, man. Only the brave. Find the others. Peace. Namaste.